Eugene Wigglebottom's reporting live. Recently, three Florida teenagers went on an adventure to Salt Lake City. The teens, Michael, Caitlin, and Anna, went to the 2012 Ocean Sciences meeting. Anna was kind enough to give us her interviews so we can see what the convention was like. And here they are.
Hi, so how long have you been a teacher?
Well, I have been teaching altogether for 38 years. I've been at my school doing science for 25.
Okay, did you always want to become one?
You know, interestingly, no. I wanted to be a linguist. I studied 3 different languages in college, and I went to the United Nations to be an interpreter. But my last year in college, a good friend of mine was working with a Head Start program, which was an early childhood program. And they needed a teacher who could speak Spanish and asked me if I wanted to do it part-time, and I said, sure. So I did, and I fell in love with teaching, and here I am.
So you never were really interested in science?
Oh, I've always been interested in science. Always, always. The problem was that when I was your age and younger, they did not have a lot of women in science, and in my particular school, they didn't encourage girls in science. So I loved science ever since I was old enough to turn a rock over and see what was underneath. But I didn't have the encouragement that some of you kids get now.
So where'd you go to school/college?
I got my bachelor's degree from the University of Houston in Houston, and then I got my master's in science teaching from Rice University in Houston.
Did you enjoy being on these trips with the researchers?
Oh, absolutely. It was a dream come true for me. I've always wanted to do something out at sea, number one, and also to work with a researcher. You know, these experiences teaming teachers with researchers just came about in the last 10 years, maybe 12 years. And when I started reading about them, I thought, how awesome would that be to go with a real scientist and go and do real science? Well, my wish came true, and my very first trip with Dr. Yeager was to Antarctica. And ever since then, I've been working with her, and we've gone to the Amazon together, and we've gone to the Arctic together.
So, you learned a lot from the researcher?
Oh, absolutely. I've learned so much new science. I've learned a lot about the polar regions, and I've learned a lot about the chemistry and the biology of the oceans, the microbiology that I never understood really well. Aside from that, she's also taught me how to use a lot of the instrumentation that they have on board to do their research with. So I learned a lot.
Did you need to learn other things, like to go on the trips?
Yes, I did a lot of research myself before I went on the trip so that I have an idea of what we were looking at, what we were doing. She gave me an outline of what we were going to be doing on the trip. And so from that outline, I would do my own research and find out more about that so that I would understand a lot. And along with that, I had my students in my class doing the same thing, so we were all learning together because they were with me all that time.
Right. So how'd you adapt to like your destinations, like the Amazon and?
Well, let's see. The Antarctic was like being on another planet. I've never experienced anything like that before. And you know, you would stand out there and look out at the ice fields, and there was nothing except maybe a penguin or a seal far away in an ice floe. And it was like being on another planet. The Amazon was hot, it was muggy, but it was a totally different environment because there was no ice, obviously, nothing but ocean, but the ocean was always changing, you know. Sometimes it would be as quiet as a lake, sometimes it would be torrential and, you know, rain coming down and the waves crashing, and it was always warm, so we were always in shorts. In the Arctic regions, we went for the first time in January to Barrow, Alaska. It was dark, it was nighttime, and it was the coldest I've ever been in my life. Like minus 65 degrees with the wind chill. It was outrageously cold.
Okay, so what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is blue.
That was our last question. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, have you always been interested in science?
Yeah, I guess so. Actually, no.
So, what did you want to become then when you were like?
I wanted to be a veterinarian. Yeah, I wanted to work with animals. And then I just happened to work in the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, and suddenly I discovered a whole new field of research.
Okay.
Wait,
And I want
Pause. Pause. I can tell you right now. Sorry.
Okay. So. Sorry. What's your field of science?
I'm a biological oceanographer, so I study the green stuff that grows in the water.
And I'm a climate scientist, but more specifically, I study ocean, atmosphere, and sea ice interactions in polar regions.
So, do you guys travel a lot to go study out in the field?
Yes, we travel to Antarctica to study, and I work in California, so that's quite a long place.
So, did you need to learn things to adapt to where you needed to go, like to Antarctica?
Yes, I needed to learn all the research techniques that we're doing because we're doing experiments, so I needed to learn that.
This is true for me as well, because actually being a climate scientist, that doesn't necessarily involve going to the field. You can use a lot of data that's already been collected or satellite remote sense data, but in order to go to the field and to use the in situ instrumentation for measuring ocean properties, I had to learn all about that instrumentation and the techniques, the lab techniques for calibrating the sensors. That was pretty exciting for me.
Yeah.
So, where did you guys get your degrees, or where did you go to college?
I went to college in Holland, in the Netherlands, and I came here 5 years ago.
I took a very long, twisted path, and I went to undergraduate at University of Virginia in Charlottesville and got my PhD at Columbia University.
Let's see. How long have you been researchers?
If you include the PhD studies, which I think should be for about 10 years.
I would say I've been doing research since the early 1990s.
About 20 years.
20 years.
Okay, last question. What is your favorite color?
Oh,
Purple.
gosh. It depends on the day.
What would it be today?
Today, I would say light blue.
Thank you, guys.
That girl is so good looking. Those kids, they want to thank some people. First off, they would like to thank NOAA, AGU, and the other sponsors of the convention, the Little America Hotel, Miss Eubanks, their science teacher, and Anna's mom, their chaperone. Great job, you guys.